sound.
Yep.
Okay, good. I'll switch because I'm able to control the speaker differently than the microphone. Okay.
Okay, guys, we're going live in a minute.
Oh, stop it, Kriebel.
Are you ready?
No, I'm not ready. Oh, don't.
I did just kind of butt in on this with you as well.
I know you did. It was bad enough doing it on my own.
Okay, guys.
I've got a secret for the end where I know I'm going to beat you no matter how long it takes you.
Okay,
Wow.
Andy and Lorna. Let's
Hello.
Hello. We look like we're going live and we've got a few viewers. So everybody who's already joined in, thank you so much for joining, and hope you caught the end of that friendly banter there between Lorna and Andy. This is what you're in for the next foreseeable future of our Workout Wednesday 2019 Week 50 head-to-head battle. So my name is Sophie Sparks. I'm the community manager here at the Information Lab and a big lover of data. And I'm going to be moderating this head-to-head battle between Lorna and Andy. How it's going to work is they're both going to start this week's Workout Wednesday at the same time and commentate through what they're doing and their thought process. Now, to make it a little bit more of a competitive tug of war, only one of them will be sharing their screen at the time. So when the other one thinks they have something really important that they want you to see that they're doing, you being the audience, they're going to physically rest the screen share off the other one and share their screen instead. So hopefully this will add to the tension. And Andy and Lorna, I do not envy you this extra, mouse work you're going to have to do to get the screens back. So my job in the middle is to make sure you guys are both on track, and we've got a few key challenge questions we'll hopefully see you do, and if I don't see you doing them, I'll ask you about them. So I've introduced myself. More importantly now, let me introduce our two competitors. So first, Lorna Eden. Lorna is a Tableau Public Ambassador, and she's a Workout Wednesday co-lead, and she was part of our Data School Cohort 2. The Data School is one of the, thank you, so Kriebel has just wrested away the the screen share from Lorna there to say Lorna is going down. We will see about that. And Andy Kriebel, many of you may know him. He is a Tableau Zen master. He's the Data School head coach, and actually he was Lorna's trainer way back in Data School too. So this is where the sort of competitive rivalry is coming from. And for today's, firstly, if you do have anything and you're joining us, if you do have any questions or you want to chat, please do. We've got the live chat stream on the YouTube live stream, and I'll be jumping in there as well to answer any questions, to drop any links to any resources Andy and Lorna may say about. So do say hi to me and to Andy and Lorna. I'll let them know you are saying hi, because they try not to distract themselves and only looking at this Workout Wednesday. So now to the big thing, the Workout Wednesday challenge for week 50. This challenge was set by Curtis Harris, and it's called Can You Build a Retention Heat Map with a Marginal Histogram? Curtis, if you are joining us, that is a really, really sexy name. I've just dropped a link to the challenge, which went live about an hour ago into the chat on YouTube. So grab it from there if you want to see what the challenge is, and if you want to try and make it alongside Lorna and Andy. So this week's challenge, they're taking a break from the default Superstore dataset, which is Tableau's default practice data set, and instead Curtis has fabricated a new his own data set to help get a more realistic view of customer retention, which is what this challenge is looking for. And we can see there on Lorna's screen the image of the heat map, the challenge we're trying to make. So it's a heat map with a marginal histogram on the side, so it is a very apt name. And the requirements for this, so neither Lorna nor Andy have looked at this challenge yet, so I'll read out the requirements for them and for you dialing in. The dashboard size is 1000 by 800 pixels. We need to separate customers into weekly cohorts where the cohort is defined by each customer's first order week in the data set. And remember, weeks need to start on Monday in this challenge. For each cohort, track the percentage of week 0 customers who came back anywhere from 10 to 26 weeks later. Create a parameter that defines how many weeks our retention model should have. And in bold, the heat map should only display cohorts who have completed the full length of the retention model. So Lorna and Andy, that's at 10 to 26 weeks. Notice how the Viz never goes into the traditional triangle shape of retention heat chart. If the cohort week is the last week of the model, don't display in the heat map and create a 50% bar chart to be layered next to the heat map. This bar chart should be hard-coded to range from 0 to 50%. Make sure the bar chart for the last week of the retention adds the label of week to the cohort week, where the heat map should display the week number. See the image. So we saw it in the image at the top, it has a above the bar chart, it says, for instance, week 21 or week 18, while the numbers everywhere else just show the week number. Create a summary big ass number, or if people think the word ass is too rude, big as number worksheet that displays the overall N week retention for all the cohorts combined. Match tooltips exactly, and that's bolded, guys, so I want to see your tooltips matched exactly. And match formatting and colors as closely as you can. Any sequential color code should be fine. And it looks like Curtis has used a blue, green, gold sequential color scheme. Okay, Andy and Lorna, are you feeling ready to take this on head to head?
Sure.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to start with Lorna, and talk us through, Lorna, your process.
Sure. Okay. So
Lorna, can you talk and do this at the same time?
yes, of course
sure?
I can. Yes.
Okay.
Why would I not be able to?
I don't know, just asking, just trying to distract you is all.
Nice work. So I would open up the actual workout as well as having the blog post side by side so that I can see the requirements and also see the Viz. And then just start off by actually sorting out the dashboard. So it's 1000 by 800 and I've sorted that out. Next thing would be to connect to the data set. So we want Google Sheets. So it's to a server and then go down to Google Sheets. Then we just have to quickly sign in.
Our internet isn't working so well here. Oh, there it goes. Okay.
And then once we've connected to Google Sheets, we can copy and paste the link in, and then we can connect to that directly into our Tableau workbook. And just give that a second to load. So all we have in our data
going
set.
slowly, Lorna?
No, I'm okay. You're at a disadvantage because you've got rubbish internet. Haha. So it looks like we have two columns in our data set, which is literally customer ID and order week. We have nothing else to go off to create this beautiful chart. So the first thing I would do from here is create our parameter. As a integer, and we want a range of 10 to 26 weeks and a step size of 1. In fact, we don't want that one at all. We want string because we want to be able to go, we want to be able to make sure it says 26 weeks next to it in the parameter. This is super boring. Andy, have you got anything else that you want to do?
No, I'm just doing my level of detail expression to get the first order per week per customer.
Okay.
So Andy, why did you start with an LOD while Lorna started with a parameter?
I tend to just go straight down the list of requirements. So the first requirement was to, let's separate the customers into weekly cohorts, where the cohort is defined by each customer's first order week. So I'm building out a table. I could share my screen. So let me share my screen. So in my screen, you can see I built a table with customer ID and then each order week. And then I just want to verify that I bring back the first week for each customer. So now that I have that, I can get that left-hand side built from the table. So, and I need to change the default format for it, default properties, date format, and it needs to be a, how is it defined? Looks like it's month, day, year. Okay, so standard long date, is that right? Nope. Create default properties, date format. Nope. Not date format. So I'm going to just customize it and do, what is it? Month, day, comma, year. So let's see. Oops, what the heck did I just do? So that should be, is it? Oh, and okay, it's the, yeah, and it's the full month. Okay, good. So that's our first week per customer. So July 2 should be my first one. Okay, that's right. Well, first one in this particular example. So if I go back to 10, so the parameter needs to be 10 through 26. Okay, so I'm going to create a parameter. That's my, what is it? Call it weeks. I'm going to make it an integer and go from 10 to 26. But in the display format, I'm going to make it a custom number, 0 decimals, and then put weeks in the suffix.
Oh, that would have been easier than the way I did it.
So now that it's a slider, I can just show it like that.
So Lorna, how did you handle the
I just
number
did
of
it very
weeks?
manually.
But I spelled it wrong, so it should be dash week. So there we go.
Okay.
So there we go. So what is our whatever customer retention? So I'm going to go ahead and throw a text box in. What is our, and that looks like it is probably like semi-bold, black. It's probably like 22 font. No, more like 20. I'm gonna make it semi-bold. Okay. And then I want to put this in a container. Oops, I need to get this window out of the way. And then I want to put my, let's see, so I'm just going to put my sheet in here for now and put this into the container. Ah, shit.
Language, Andy.
I'm not worried about the language. I'm just worried about winning.
Okay, so on that note, Lorna, where are you at right now? Would you be able to share your screen so we can see what you're doing?
Of course, I'll boot Kriebel off with pleasure. So I've currently created my sheet where I've got the maximum retention week, depending on which one we want, how many weeks. I'm just going to start with 10 just to make sure that I'm getting on the right track. And I'm going to bring back the minimum order date for each customer and to find out when they first started in the cohort. So again, this will be an LOD for customer ID for the minimum order week.
And Lorna, I see in your view there, you've got customer ID and order week, and now the min order date. That order week, is it an exact date or is it a calculation you've made?
Order week is the exact date that was in the data set. The min date is the calculation that I've just made. So as you can see, the LOD that I used now brings back the earliest date of each order week.
Perfect. And I know this is something that Kriebel does as well. Did you learn it from him to check that your calculations and things like LEDs are working by first viewing the data as in a table format?
Yes, definitely. It's much easier to be able to do it in a table format because then you can see where you're going wrong, if you're going wrong. I'm just checking also that my week start is on a Monday because that was one of the requirements. So the way I did that was click the data source, date properties, and it should say week start on a Monday.
You could just look at how your first order week comes out and then see if you see July 2nd in there, because that's one of his dates in there.
You could do that too.
Right, so where are we here? I'm lost.
Lorna, do you normally create your workout Wednesdays with a split screen like that with Tableau on one side and the actual final solution on the other?
Yeah, so either the Tableau or the actual Viz here, the requirements, so that I can get just keep reminding myself as to what it is. But usually I kind of just go from the actual what it looks like in the Viz itself. I'm now creating a calculation, which is the next order date, which will give me back the second time that a customer purchased. So this is using another. No, it's not. Sorry, it is going to say if the min date is equal to the order week, then it does not equal order week, then give me back my order week. Else no. This will then give me a new calculation which only shows the dates for that isn't their first order date of the 12th of March for this particular customer ID. So it'll bring back the others. Then we can say the next.
Hey, Lorna.
Yes.
We're supposed to assume that number of records is the number of orders, correct? I would assume.
Yeah, I'm guessing so. Doesn't say. Is it not all about the count distinctive customer ID?
Yeah, you're right. That's what I was just changing.
I know. That's
So
why I'm better than you.
It's okay. You can pretend. Let's see.
Okay, Kriebel. Let's see what you're doing at the moment. You've been very quiet, which is quite unlike you.
I'm just doing some data verification right now. So I'm comparing it to what Curtis has in his view. So I can see he's got 282 new customers on July 2nd. And then the first week after that, he's got 162. So I can see that I have those numbers correct. So I need to get the, actually I need to fix it over here.
Would you be able to share your screen, Kriebel, so we could see this ourselves?
Sorry about that. So, how do I get this? There we go. I'm having trouble getting the screen out of the way. So I just want to look at the number of customers. And what I did was I looked at July 2nd and I compared that to Curtis's. So he's got 282 new customers in July 2nd. Week 1 is 162 customers. And then let's say week 25 is 26 customers. So I need to scroll over to week 25. Where's week 25? Is 26 customers. Okay, so that looks good. So that's kind of how I go through the data verification process. And then what I want to do is I want to get the number of customers on day 0. So day 0 customers. And I want to say if week start equals 0, then I want to get the customer ID. And then I want to count distinct on the customer ID. And I'm going to make this discrete. because it needs to go into the rows. So, and I want to make that a, I want to fix that one first. Actually, I could do it as, I need to do this as a table calculation. No, I don't want to do it that way.
Kriebel, I see that you've got a calculation weeks since start. Once you've finished typing your current table calculation, would you be able to tell us how you calculated that?
Sure. 1 second, I'm just trying to get this down to a single row. So yeah, so 282, that matches. And I think Curtis called that column header new customers. So I need to edit the name of my calculation. New customers. And he has that right aligned. So alignment is to the right. Okay, there we go. You said the first order week. Yeah, this one, first order week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
sorry, weeks. The number
sorry.
of weeks since start.
Yeah. So that's just a simple date diff calculation. I just want to count the number of weeks between their first order date and then every other order week that they have. So that gives me the headers going across left to right.
Thank you.
Yep. And I think if I filter out, if I exclude the ones, it breaks my calculation there. So I'm going to need to just hide week 0 so that it shows week 1 there, because I need it for my table calculation. And I want to make sure my table calc is correct. So yep, so this is saying for each order week, count the distinct number of customers since the first week. Okay, so that's good. This looks like I need to format that and get rid of the bold. It looks like it's probably Tableau Light, if I had to guess, maybe 8 point. And then this, I'm going to make Tableau Light 8 point. And yeah, that's good enough. And then I need to make this, okay, so he calls this cohort, so I need to rename this to cohort. So cohort, new customers, that looks good. I think everything looks like it's 8 points, so I'm just going to format the worksheet, format font for the entire worksheet and make it Tableau Light and 8 point. So that's going to at least get me a little started a bit quicker. And then I can just format the header to make it bold. Maybe.
Right, Lorna, you've been quiet for a little bit. We see Andy's doing a lot of formatting. He also was using some table calcs there opposed to just straight LODs. Are you a table calc fan? That's something we see in a few Workout Wednesdays. Some lead more towards LODs and some lead more towards table calcs.
Definitely, I am 100% more of a LOD type person.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Lorna.
I'm so sorry. Yep, I just can't help myself. I am a LOD type of person. What can I say?
I'd say you're wrong.
I am not wrong. Thank you very much.
Okay, so what is our 26 week? And then he's got these little dotted lines in the formatting. So row divider is dotted line thingies. Okay, so that gives me the start. So let me make this a bit bigger. Well, not that big.
Okay, Lorna, would you be able to share your screen? We see Kriebel's already getting some color happening there.
Okay, I guess I could. Let me just.
So requirements here. For each cohort, track the percentage of weeks or customers.
Okay. So again, I've got up to a relatively similar place. I just need to do the returning customers now. So I will just duplicate my number of customers and change this LOD. So min date would equal the next order date. And that should, let me just rename that to be returning customers. And that didn't work, which is awesome. Yay. Right.
He's using like the Vardis color theme, isn't he?
It looks like it, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So Lorna, when one of your calculations doesn't work first time or doesn't work as expected, how do you troubleshoot it? Talk us through that.
I then go back to the table that I have built just to make sure that I am on track for it. So once it actually works and loads up, so we can see that this first customer here has 2 weeks in between, so that should count as a number. So we can do the count distinct of customer ID there. And then that should give me like a 1. So now what I could do, I should be able to take order week out and it should aggregate that up a little bit more. So in theory, I should have 3,609. That's surely not right.
Ooh, that's not right.
Just getting these calculations right now as to what they're doing.
Oh shit, that's right.
Yeah, it's I could try and talk, but I'm talking and distracting myself, so I'm sorry about that. So
That's quite all right, Lorna. So we're breaking the calculation down and seeing how we can, where it might not be working as expected. Is that a
yeah,
good summary? Okay.
pretty much, yes.
And while it's still computing the view, how often do your calculations not work first time?
Depends. If I'm rushing, quite often. If I'm taking my time, they're usually okay.
Nice. Okay, Kriebel, what are you doing? You're looking very perplexed there on the screen.
I'm trying to figure out the filtering. So I'm working on this. So one of the requirements was this filter here. Where is it here? The heat map should only display cohorts that have completed the full length of the retention model. So what that means is basically, if I look out here, so if I go down to the bottom and I'm looking at all these ones that are null, so where my count distinctive customer ID is null, I want to basically get rid of those. So I'm going to first start by null weeks. And I just want, for now, I just want to flag them and make sure I can get the calculation right. So I want to say is null my value count the customer ID. Okay, and I'm just going to put that on the text shelf to see if I get it right. And that's true. So those are all my trues. Okay. So I want to say, so I'm going to get the max week. So max weeks until null. So what I want to do now is I want to figure out what's the cohort number of the first week that is not null. So I'm going to say, so I want to fix it on cohort. And I want to say, no, I could just say, no, I can make this easier. I just want to get the, so if I get the max date for my cohort, how did I do my first week per customer? So I need to do max date trunk week. So what I'm trying to do is just figure out, I think I need to get the maximum week for each cohort as well. And this would be order week. So this should give me the max week for each cohort. And I'm going to just put that onto the, I'll put that onto the text, and let's just see what it says. So this should be max week until null is 12/31. Okay, so now I could calculate, I want to say that the difference between, so I'm going to do date diff in weeks. And when my start date is going to be my cohort, my end date is going to be my max weeks until null. And then that has to be greater than or equal to the number of weeks in my view. So let's try that on the text instead. And so I should, so right now I have it, so let me make it a bit easier. If I make it like 10 weeks, 11 weeks, I should get everything. Yeah, so these are all the ones I want to keep. So I'm going to just drag that to the text shelf. I'm sorry, to the filters. And now I should be down to just those customers that have that number of weeks. So if I go back
Kriebel,
to
could you talk us through that one calculation again? Because that was one of the things that Curtis said specifically was something a bit tricky. How you handling the requirement to only include cohorts with the full length of the retention model.
So earlier, to figure out the cohort, I wanted to find out the first date of the cohort. I also then need to figure out the last day of the cohort. So then once I have that, I can calculate the difference between the two cohorts, which is this calculation here. So this is going to tell me how many weeks has it been since, or how many weeks are there between the start and the end for each customer. So think about cohorts, the start, this is the end, and that needs to be greater than or equal to the number of weeks I specify in my parameter.
And how are you defining your cohorts there? I'm not sure if I saw you make that one.
My cohort is my start. So that's the minimum date for each customer.
Yep.
And then my max should be the opposite of that. So this should be, so that's going to be the first date for each cohort. And then this is going to be the max date for each cohort. So it's slightly different. So this one is the first date per customer. And this one is the last date per cohort. So for each of these cohorts, what's the last week that is not null? That's basically what it's bringing back. Does that make sense?
It does. And we've got a few people sort of who've joined the live stream who said hi. So I'll just let you both guys know. Hi. We've got Hector Ramos is saying hi to both of you. And he hasn't made any Workout Wednesdays yet, only Makeover Monday. So maybe you guys will inspire him to have a go at a Workout Wednesday.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Right. Okay, so that looks good.
Okay, Lorna, we haven't seen your screen for a little while. Do you want to rest the screen back from Kriebel and show us where you're at?
Sure.
You sound frustrated, Lorna. What's wrong?
Yeah, I'm just a little bit stuck.
Come on, Lorna, what's wrong?
Oh, what's wrong? Me. Shush, Kriebel.
Can you handle it?
I can handle it, of course I can. I'm just struggling on the calculations that I need.
Which one are you struggling with?
So I have the weeks. I did have the weeks. Let me put that back on there.
What's your week filter look like?
Let me just, I'll put it on.
No, show me the calculation for
Oh,
your
okay.
week.
It's just a true false of weeks is the.
What is your weeks calculation then? The one that says weeks. Oh, that's your header. Yeah, you're not going to get it right then.
Oh, wow, thanks.
Well, you have to, what you have to do is you got to get the difference between the cohort.
Yeah.
So you already have your cohort. That's your week of order date thing that you have going to the left. And then why do you have week of order date? So yeah, so your column, you're fielding your rows is wrong.
Oh, okay. So I need this one instead.
Yeah, the min date. Yeah. You can format it later, but
Yeah.
And then your filter needs to be, so you've got that right. So if you look at July 2nd, you hid week
Okay.
0, so show the hidden data.
I think this is,
Right click on your weeks field. Yeah, there you go. So you can make that week 0. See, you've got something's wrong with your week 0.
okay, I'll figure it out. I don't need any more help.
But you need to get that, only bring back the complete week, or the ones that meet the number of weeks. You have to get the maximum date for each cohort.
Okay.
And then calculate the number of weeks in between. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Do I get bonus time then for help?
Nope. You can't help but help. That's fine.
I don't know how the hell he fit this all on one dashboard. Is it 1,000 by 800?
Yep.
How the hell did he shrink this all into one dashboard? Because mine isn't fitting very well.
Okay, Lorna, it looks like Kriebel helped you talk through that little brain block you had. Sometimes having somebody to talk through or a fresh set of eyes can really help you unstick what's going on. So tell us where you're at now.
So I'm duplicating what I just did in my second sheet, which was my test sheet, not my first sheet. So I'm just sorting that out and just doing some formatting really on this, so that I can replicate the numbers back to what they should be. Changing my calculation from this one to my min date instead, which should then give me my customers back, which is fine. And then, so I need to change my weeks. So if this if is null, oops. Then 0 else. Bring me back that date. Hit OK. Then that'll give me back my original number, which is 33, I think. Let me go back to my split screen.
What font do you think he has? Is it size 7 or 8? Do you know?
I have no idea. Nope, I can't tell. Sorry.
Did he do his typical put the big fat border around things?
I don't know. Maybe. I've looked at it just as much as you have.
Come on, Lorna.
What?
You do better than that.
You're pressuring me. I don't like it. Go away.
So Lorna, it sounds like Kriebel's, even though it seems like he's helping you out, it sounds like he's applying some mental pressure there as well.
Yes, he is.
I would never do such a thing, Lorna. I don't appreciate the accusation.
So Lorna and Kriebel, a few of the key points that Curtis pulled out was how do you make sure that Tableau knows to start the weeks on Monday? And Lorna showed us that earlier on. I think a few of these questions as well around when does a day of the week start may be different in different versions of Tableau depending on where locally you start. So perhaps if for us here in the UK, that's the default, but maybe not so in the US, where usually the week officially starts on Sunday for software. And Kriebel, one of the other things Curtis said could be a little challenge is how do you, to make the math work, and we saw this early on, for your view, for the counts for each cohort, you need to calculate against that week 0, the initial week that everybody made their first purchase. But in his viz, you don't see week 0; it goes from week 1 through. So how did you work that around? So Kriebel, we saw that with your table calculation, you just kept week 1 there, but you just didn't display that column. So Lorna and Kriebel, how often do you sort of these small formatting tips habits and tricks like not displaying in column mean that a table calculation or a similar calculation you have works? Is that something you find quite a lot, or is it less common, more of a hack?
It depends on what you're trying to do. So my current weeks filter automatically gets rid of those 0 ones, or it did before I changed it, so it might not work now. So I'm just trying to see if this is going to work. 162, 118. Okay, so it's still something wrong in my calculation. Yeah, maybe people can answer that one as well.
Say again, Sophie.
Okay, Kriebel, do you want to rest the screen back off Lorna, and we'll have a look what you're doing. When you created your cohort view, that so we see in Courtesy has from week 1 through, yes, like yours, week through to week 26 or 25, 26. Yep. He doesn't have that week 0, but for the calculations to work, you need that week 0 there. Yep. And what you did was just manually hide. So you can right click on that, the label name and hide it. How often do you find you need to do things like that? Is that a hack, or is that more of an accepted, legitimate, in your mind, way to work with the data?
Well, I do it mostly because I'm used to table calculations. I'm not quite sure. I mean, you can turn any table calculation into an LOD, but all the fields that I need are already in the view. So that's why I went with the table calc, but I need that field calculate against. So in order to, if I filter that out, like most people would, then all my calculations would break. So if you did it as an LOD, you don't necessarily need it in the view to compute against. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does. It's a sort of a little tip that maybe not everyone, when they're starting to work with data, realizes that you can hide something, but it's still, even though it's hidden in the view, like you hit that week 0, it's still, that data is still included in a table calculation. It's still in view for Tableau, even though it's not in view for us humans. Exactly. Opposed to having data filtered out.
Because a table calc is only based on what's in the view. So in order to calculate against that, it has to be in the view. Does that make sense?
That does. So Kriebel, I see. It looks like you're checking your numbers against Curtis's. Can you talk us through how you've got to the heat, how you've gone through the heat map so far? It looks like you're checking some numbers and checking some formatting.
Yeah. So what's interesting is his actual week. If you see in the tooltip, his actual week has 2 days, so it's 0, 9. But his cohort beginning does not have the 0. So he said to match the tooltips exactly. So that's something that I'm making sure I do.
And how are you doing that?
So for the actual week, so this is, I could just rename this if I want. This is really my actual week. And if I just go to default properties date format, I went ahead and created a custom date format. So 4Ms will give me the full name of the month. DD will give me the 2-digit day. And then the 4Ys gives me the year. Whereas if I look at the cohort, default properties, date format, you'll see I only have 1 D here, not 2. So that allows me to control the formatting slightly differently.
Great attention to detail there. Yes, it does. I guess DD would be 0, 1 if there's only.
Right. He looks like he's got some kind of border around the entire table too. See that kind of like bluish border around the whole thing? Looks like there's some kind of blue border. So I'm going to go to my borders and look at, so how's he doing that? Is it through the grand total? So I'm going to just play with other colors first. That's not it. How the hell did he do that? Maybe it's on the header. No. Do you see what I'm talking about, Sophie? Does it look like that to you? Like there's an ever so faint blue line around the outside?
I will pull it out.
If you look on my screen, you see how there's like a blue border around that?
It does. It does.
I know what he did. I know what he did.
Do you think he put a border around the container?
No, I think he created 2 sheets. and you put them in a container. So this is my So I think what he did here, we don't need that on color. That's fine. I don't even need my tooltips on this one. So I think what he did was.
And Kriebel, some of the people who tuned in agree that there is a light blue border around it. So I think you're onto something there.
Yeah, so if you see this, if I zoom in, you can see a light blue border around all that. So that's what I'm trying to fix now. So I think what he did was he put these next to it. So these need to be in a container. And then this needs to be in a container, in the same container. And then I'm gonna shrink this one up as much as I can. So let me go to here. I'm gonna just shrink this column down as much as I can. And I'm going to set my text color to transparent. And now I need to get rid of my column dividers. So now when I put these next to each other, at the title, they line up nice and neat. But I need to get rid of, on this one, I need to get rid of my left or my right padding. And then on this one, I need to get rid of my left padding. And then I need to also get rid of my right padding. And then this sheet looks like it has a bright blue border around it or something. Does that look about the right color? But that's not right either, because it's okay, because it goes around the numbers as well at the top. So that's not right. So I think, so format borders. Let me put that on there. I think this is it. And then that does the headers. So let's put it on the pane.
So Kriebel, while you're trying to figure out some of that formatting, and I think it's great to see how much time formatting takes, especially in these sort of, you might get the data worked out and then the formatting can be a whole nother headache. I've had somebody want to know a little bit more about table calculations. So the question is, when we use table calcs and show rolling sum in the view, how to use a top filter without changing it in actual rolling sum? Do you have any good resources I could point them to?
Can you repeat that?
When you use a table calculation and show a rolling sum in the view, and then you want to use a top 10 filter, how do you do that without actually changing the rolling sum?
Yeah, so I'll just do it for you. So if we have it's like a running sum.
Lorna, this is some time for you to catch up as well. So if you need me to stall Andy more, then just let me know.
I am trying.
So if I just do subcategory and sales, let me just make it a table. And then if I make this a running total, I think that's what they're saying.
Yep, I think it is. Yeah, rolling sum. Yep.
And table across. Okay. So, and then they want to filter down to just the, so let me make this discrete, to just the value on the end, correct?
Yeah, filter out.
So I'm going to create a new calculated field. That's my last value. Actually, what I would probably do is I would say fixed on subcategory sum of sales. And so that's going to give me my latest value. And then I could rank that missing something. And what the heck? I'll make it discrete. And then put that here. So compute using, I want to do it by subcategory. Okay, so something's not right here. Okay, so I would probably do a window sum of my sum of sales. And let's see what that looks like. What I'm trying to do is just get the value on the end. So 1673, okay, that looks good. And then we can just put an index on here. And then make that discrete. I'm gonna put that before this one and compute using subcategory. And then I can just filter this to like my top 5 or something. There you go. So I don't need that in there anymore. Like that.
That looks perfect. And props for whipping out a spontaneous question answer in the middle of a workout Wednesday. So we've had
I gotta learn to catch up at some point.
So Lorna, we've been a bit quiet from you for a little bit. Would you like to share your screen and see where you're at? Even if you're having a few headaches, maybe we could talk through where you're getting stuck, because I think that's something that's very realistic and people might want to know sort of how you approach when you get a difficult or get thrown by something.
Yeah, I guess I could share. I'm just in general pretty stuck, but I don't want to give Kriebel the advantage of...
I'm happy to help you, Lorna, if you need help.
I know, but then you'll never let me live it down, ever.
Well, I didn't say I wouldn't, but
so I'm still just faffing about with where I am up to and just trying to get things working. So I'm
make sure you save along the way, Lorna.
Yeah, I'm stuck. I don't like rushing. What?
Do you want to help?
No.
Okay, good answer.
No, I don't want help. I do really want help, but I'm not getting help. There's a difference.
You're afraid to ask for help.
Yes, I am.
Not a problem, Lorna. We know it can be very intimidating, especially when you're trying to think through something and you've got somebody like me asking you to share your screen and get in your ear. So we'll jump. One thing, Kriebel, while we still see Lorna's screen, I'm going to ask you about. Lorna has both her workbook and the Workout Wednesday challenge side by side so she can see them, and that's something we haven't seen you do. Is there any reason because of that?
Flip back and forth.
Just, you find it easy to flip back and forth?
I don't even know what hers. So it's easy enough for me to just go back and forth, so I'm not really too worried about it.
I do have 2 screens, so normally I would have it on one screen and then the other screen. So
I see. I'm forcing you to do it on one small screen. So thank you.
One small screen. Oh, it's okay.
Thank you for that, Lorna. Okay, so Kriebel, let's jump back to you and those formatting challenges you're having about the blue box and around the heat map and getting your headers all lined up. So where have you gone to from there? And it looks like you're...
So I'm done there.
Okay, so how did you solve it?
Yeah, so what I did was if I go into my worksheet format, if I go into my borders formatting, I need to set my row and column dividers, both the pane for my row and column dividers to both that color, and then reduce the level all the way down to the bottom. And I also had to change my headers to none, because if I okay, it's not going to let me, but normally you can click on those and clear them. Yeah, normally you can, there we go. So you see how you can right click on that and clear it. Anyway, if I turn the header on as well, you'll see it go, well, that one's okay. I think it's when I did it with the columns. It went up. You see how it goes up to the top above the 25 or next to the 25 there. You see that on the end? Or here at the 1, you see how it goes up into the header?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't want that. So that's why I had to set the header to none. And that's it. But I had to keep my cohort in the rows so that everything lines up in the dashboard. So I want to make sure everything stays hunky-dory.
So you've got a few more formatting bits that have gone on. Your headers, what is our new customer retention with the parameter there? Is that just sort of one container with various text boxes, the parameter and the color code dropped in them and then sort of manually moved around?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I just kind of go around with them. And then once I get the height, I'm going to, if I want to pin the size of that box, I need to then put another container in. So I'm going to just drop the vertical container in and put this container in there. And then this container in underneath of it. And now I have this one. I can make this one the size I want. The dashes have to be next to it. So I'm just going to keep raising it up a bit. So something like that. And now that I have it the size I want, you see how it's fixed height. So now if I move things around, it won't change the height of it. But I also need one at the bottom because he's got this color legend here at the bottom. So I'm going to put another container inside of my bigger container, or try to at least. Sometimes you have to, I'm going to have to put it here in there, move that into that container, and then put a couple of blanks on the sides of it. And then now I need to get this container and move it above that container. So it's a pain, but it can be done. And then this has to be the same size. So you see how it snaps in there? I can make it snap into the same size, but I'm going to do that last because I still need to get something in the right-hand side over here, that 50%, this 50% thing over here. So I'm still not quite sure what he's done here. So I need to read the requirements again. So he says, if the cohort is the last week of the month, so I've got that part covered. Make sure I save along the way. So I just created a new filter for my last week. So I just said, if the cohort week is equal to the number of weeks in the parameter, and I put that on there and make it, I can probably get rid of that one. Right, so now I still have my cohorts here. But what I need to do now is don't display the heat map and create a 50% bar chart to be layered next to the heat map. This bar chart should be hard coded to range from 0 to 50. That's fine. So I can move that off the view. I only had the cohort week in there so I could verify that it was bringing back the right week. So if I slide this down, it moves to 17. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the average of 0.5 and make it a bar. My color is set to transparent. There we go. So, and this needs to be fixed. He said to go from 0 to 0.5. I think I'm going to get rid of the title eventually. So I think I'm going to hide this axis eventually. So that gives me my, that looks like it gives me sort of that part, but I need to make them look slightly fatter, probably something like that. And then it looks like they're gray. So it looks like the same gray. Yeah, that looks like the same gray. And there's no borders. Sorry, there's no grid lines and no axis rulers. So let's get rid of those. And there also the dotted line isn't over there. So I'm going to get rid of my row and column dividers.
So Andy, I see you're doing a lot of formatting as you go along.
Yeah.
Do you find it is distracting to sort of jump between formatting and building calculated fields or pieces of analysis, or is it sort of a good mental break to change up between these sort of formatting?
Yeah, I mean, once I have the sheet kind of in its relatively close to its final state, I'll do the formatting, but I wait until I'm pretty close to the end. In this case, I know that, I can see by looking at the sheet. So if I zoom in over here, I can see there's no borders in there at all. So there's no borders or anything. There's something there. It looks like there's some kind of stacking going on here. So I can tell this is just one bar because when I hover over, it's just one bar. It's one gray bar by clicking on it. And if I click on this one, I can see it's one smaller bar. So he's done something with the formatting to get this line at 25%. So I still need to figure that bit out. And now my tooltip is all messed up. Shit. So
Andy, you've got some questions coming through. Someone wants to know, what's the name of the chart you're making right now? So what would...
This is a table.
So we would call that a table. This sort of that dual a stacked bar chart, would that be correct?
Yeah, I think it's going to end up being actually one bar chart on top of another. So I think the little gray bar, I think it's a dual axis chart, dual axis bar chart to make it look like it's stacked. That's my guess right now.
Perfect. And so for sort of help people make it out. So if we're talking about this week 26, and in your heat map, it goes from week 1 to week 5. But there will be 26 weeks there because actually your heat map starts at week 0 and you've hidden the week 0 from the view to make the table calculation work. So it's a total of 26 weeks in all. Yeah. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Cool. And so now what you're doing is that last week, the 26th week, you're seeing for those people in that week, what % of them are... I'm just going to read back over so for that last week, it in the instruction says, don't display the heat map and create a 50% bar chart to be laid next to the heat map.
Yeah, so that's the part I'm working on now.
Cool.
So in this one, I have to, so my header, let's see, so, oops, cancel. Let's apply only this sheet. So in this one, I need to change, see, this is only showing 0 through 25. So the other sheet, because in this example, it's week 26. So I need to make sure that I created a different filter that instead of going to 25, it'll go to 26. So I'm going to just replace that one and choose true. And what does my weeks filter do? What does this do? So, right, okay, that's fine. So now what I want to do is I need to do my retention again. So what do I have on here? So tooltip. Because I think his tooltip is the same here. Okay, so percent returning, count distinctive customer, actual week, okay. Customers in cohort, that's fine. So I need to put, my new customers field back in the view. So I messed that one up. That's fine, okay.
So Kriebel, we see you've got that red missing field there in your tooltip. Can you just explain why that happens, in case people aren't familiar with how Tableau works?
So I customized my tooltip first, and then when I took fields out of this view because I didn't think I needed them, but they were in the tooltip, so they became red because it was like a warning that, hey, you're missing something, idiot. So yeah. Does that answer your question? I think it does.
Yes, it does. Okay, Lorna, how are you going? You don't need to share your screen, but just talk to us and let us know if you've still stuck or if you're sort of working through. I know you and Andy took different approaches at the start, so it's quite interesting to see that you can approach the same problem from different sort of points of view as well.
I am working through it. I think I am almost there for the heat map only.
Ah, brilliant. So your numbers nearly matching up to, are your numbers close to matching up to Codus's?
Yes, very close to it. I'm just finalizing a few things on here, and then we can, maybe
Great.
I can share my screen again.
Yeah, when you've sort of had the headspace, yeah, it would be great to share your screen and then talk us how you. So we know you got a bit stuck, but then how did you get out of that? Because that's everyone gets stuck, and actually being able to get out, I think, is almost more impressive than having smooth sailing the whole way.
Yes, of course. I will talk you through that once I've made sure that my numbers are correct.
Great. Okay, Kriebel, we see you're dropping more fields onto your columns. What are you looking to do it now? We've got just week 26 there. Are you trying to build a dual axis chart?
Sure. So in this last one, I just want week 26, but in my tooltip, I still need to have the values from week 0. So what I'm doing is I'm using my current week filter, which tells me or cohort week filter. It's to give me everything other than the last week. So I'm going to put that into the column shelf, and you can see false gives me week 26 and true gives me all the other weeks, but I need all the other weeks. So I'm just going to hide those, and then I can move my cohort week filter to the detail shelf. And now I'm left with just week 26. But it looks like my customer retention broke. So yeah, so I need to also check customer cohort week filter. There we go. So this should say 2.8%. Perfect. So now I can move my cohort week down to the detail shelf. Does that make sense?
That does. We've had a question come through, and the person says they know that the whole point of Workout Wednesday is to exactly replicate the visualization made by the person who set it. So in this case, exactly replicate Curtis's visualization. But they've asked, would you, if you were building this from scratch yourself, would you use something like a heat map to display cohort retention, or would you maybe use a different chart type?
Yeah, I think cohort a heat map is a very good way to show cohort retention because you can see patterns very well.
That's good. For this one, for instance, it looks like the cohort starting 2nd July, at least in that week 26 bar, which is what you're building now, has a very low % of customer retention compared to the cohort starting 1st of January. So that could be an interesting trend. So that's you're right, that's a good way to pull it out.
So now I'm having trouble kind of matching his colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to color pick it.
Good tip there, using the, you can use the Tableau's color picker to pick any color on your screen. It doesn't have to actually be within Tableau software.
So that'll get me close enough. Right, so then this one has a border around it. No, wrong one. Actually, I could put borders around both of them.
So Kriebel, so it looks like you've got a similar looking bar chart now to Curtis's, sort of formatting aside. Can you explain how you calculated this 50% rate?
I just put a constant in. So I just double clicked in the shelf and just did average of 0.5. That's it.
Yep, average of 0.5 of, so the darker gray bars, what are they showing?
The darker gray bars are showing the percent that returned in week 26. So in this case, 2.8%. So
And
my
how
bar
did you
here is,
calculate that one?
oh, that's the same calculation I had before, the percent of returning customers.
Okay, great. Would you be able to talk us through that? I think I'm not sure if we were sort of focusing on it.
So what I need to do is I need to count the number of customers that are in each cohort week, and that's what the numerator is doing. And then the denominator is using this new customers calculation, which is, it's giving me the number of customers from week 0. And I put a window sum around that so that it returns it for every week, irrespective of, it'll bring back the week 0 value, irrespective of what other week I'm in.
So the window sum function, it's if you started using Tableau after LODs were introduced, and they were introduced in version 8, was it?
9.
I should check version 9.
Yeah.
You might be less familiar with using a window sums, because a lot of that you would now do with LODs. So can you just explain what a window sum actually returns for us?
What a window sum returns. So what it's doing is, let me just let me duplicate this one as a cross tab. So let's see, so I can get rid of, so there's my count T. Right, so let me put it here maybe. Something is not quite right here. So, okay, so let me show the header here. So if I just put in my, let me take this value out. And I just want,
Oh, have we lost Andy? Oh.
Yeah, it looks like his sound is not working really well. You're very crackly.
Okay, 1 second. Okay, is that better?
A little bit, yes, thank you.
Okay, so let's see. So what I need to do is I need to return the number of customers. Let me just rebuild it. So I have my cohort week and I have my actual week. And then what I want to do is I want to make this discrete and I need to reverse it. So let me just sort this in the other order. So descending, there we go. And I'll just leave it like that for now. And then I need to count the number of customers in each week. So, right. So this tells me how many customers there were in each week. And what I want to do is I want to return the week 0 value. So if I look at my new customers calculation, that's what this is doing here. So it's saying if the cohort week is week 0, then count the number of customers. So that's going to return this 27 right here, for example. And then what the window sum is going to do, it's going to just basically copy that number across the rest of the view. So if I put this into the tooltip and I set the table calc to calculate that way, then you'll see my 27 gets repeated. If you look at the bottom item in the tooltip, my 27 gets repeated all the way across. So then I can count the number, I can do the division to get the retention number.
Great. So we know how many customers were in that week 0, and then you can see how many in the week 26 of that original week 0 map. Yep. Thank you for explaining that.
Okay, so I think what Curtis has done here, so you'll see see how he's got these other lines here, these other gray lines. So that, what the hell is he doing here? So I'm trying to figure out how he got these white lines in front of the gray bars. Has to be something I'm going to save along the way. And let me go ahead and And this I know is going to need to go in there. And then the last thing I'm going to need, so I'm just going to duplicate the sheet. Get rid of that. Put that onto the label and make it text. Get rid of color. And then he has it on the left. But it doesn't look like it's bold. And I need to have this, I need to have something up in this header to make it line up. So you see I've got something up here. So I'm going to change this to just be a blank. And this is my end number. So now I can go here and put my end number to the right of that, hide the title. And then I need to just make this slightly, whoops. Let's make it like 50. Is that too big? So Curtis likes to kind of get rid of the padding in there. So I'm going to go to my layout and remove my left padding. That looks okay. And then I think I've already done that on this one. Nope. So that looks like I need to remove the padding on this one as well. There we go. So now my padding is right. So I think, so let me go back here. Why is it graying out? I don't see why my color is wrong.
Lorna,
Yes.
are you ready to share your screen while Kriebel plays around with some formatting? Or
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so I managed to.
You need to share your screen, Lorna.
Yes, I know,
Okay.
I'm on it. I managed to get the heat map working. So I managed to figure out what the calculations were that I needed to do.
so what were they?
So like Kriebel was saying, I needed to make sure that I had the max cohort week. So I use the LOD, so max cohort, the fixed at the cohort, and then find the max cohort week of that specific cohort. And then that seemed to work quite nicely for me. And then I added those onto the filters to create this beautiful.
And so how did you, so we saw Kriebel for his start at week 1, but you need week 0 in there for the calculation. So he used a table calc and just hid that week 0. Did you do something similar?
So I hid the final week 26, and then I think I did. I didn't hide week 0, but I'm just trying to figure out. Yeah, so it's part of the filter somewhere that I can't find. Oh no, I did hide it. I am lying. I did just right click and hide on the cohort week, and it worked quite nicely for the rest of the calculations that I used. I did so much in between all of the talking, I forgot what I did.
That's quite all right. So to get this view, you needed to calculate the cohort week and then the final cohort week.
Mm-hmm.
And that means for each of them, you could then say how many weeks each cohort was around. Is that correct?
Yes.
Cool. And did you, like Kriebel, use a table calc or a window sum for that?
No, so I used all LODs apart from the retention calculation, which is a table calc. So that's the count distinctive customer ID, lookup, account distinctive customer ID, the first one. And then
That's great. So when you guys both finish and publish your visualizations, people should both check out Lorna and Andy's Tableau public page. Is that where they'll go up? And you could see perhaps you should see two different approaches, one using more table calculations and window calcs, and one using more LODs. So I'll link to both your Tableau public pages in the chat right now.
Perfect.
Lorna, are you sort of at a similar stage to Andy now, where trying to build the 50% bar chart?
I think I'm almost there, but I've just filtered it out instead of hiding it. So with the table calcs, obviously the order of operations comes into play. You need to understand that table calcs come last. So apart from if you hide things. So if you hide things, table calcs will still work on those hidden things. If that made any sense.
That did make sense. So right now you're doing some custom number formats, and that's one thing we've seen Curtis had this week. So can you just open that back up and show us what you did? That's a nifty little trick to get some custom number formatting.
Apart from it didn't work. So in the number formatting, what you can do is you can write your code in there. So you can just write week 0, and that should, and for some reason it isn't picking it up. So I just need to, I'm going to change this to have a prefix instead, so it'll bring back week number and then a number. And then once you've added the prefix in, you can check the custom and see what it actually does. So I just needed to put the speech marks around the week for it to actually pick up. We can then see that I've got week 26 there. So I just need to put that in here, and then show.
And Lorna, after we've also, some people sort of wondering, you had quite a few bar charts going on in this view of the sheet. So can you explain what you're thinking when we build these? Is this to try and figure out what's going on, or is it a clever way to build the view?
So there's two calcs. So you've got the retention table calculation, and then you've got the average of 0.05, which is just the background one that we're just going to fix back to 0.05. So then you can see the highlighted versus the non-highlighted, but they are the right way round, but wrong coloring. So this needs to be the darker one, and this needs to be the lighter one.
So it looks like you've got a bar chart for each week, and before it's been filtered down to just show week 26. Is that?
Yes. So I'm just trying to keep only, but whenever I do that, it's going to put the customer retention to full, to only look at that specific week. So I need to be able to hide the weeks. So if I hide that, we now get the individual week 26. So I can unshow that header, and we have the same tooltip as before. And also I can unshow that one.
Great. And how did you calculate? Sorry, retention was the one table calculation you had.
Yes, it was. That's the only table calculation that I've used.
And that's why you can hide all the other weeks, and it still includes them within that table calculation.
Yes, exactly.
So looks like your formatting is all there as well. So Kriebel, last time we heard from you, you were looking to see how you get that white line down the middle of that week 26 dual axis bar chart. Have you found a way to do that yet?
No, I was faffing around with the rest of it first. What I'm doing now is I'm just trying to get the formatting just right on some of the objects. Let's see. So he's got it right up against the. So let's undo.
So it sounds like Lorna, even after you got stuck for a while, you've caught up very quickly and sort of maybe a speedier even than Kriebel on the formatting front.
Well, I did give her a chance.
Oh, that's all we're gonna get now is, you give me a chance. Yeah, so formatting is obviously one of the key things of Workout Wednesday. You don't always necessarily, as a leader, you don't necessarily always have to follow the true formatting, but just as long as in principle it's all there as what we're really asking for. So yeah, formatting is mainly a bonus, in my opinion. But the other Workout Wednesdays might shout me down for that one.
Well, everybody who's dialed in, there you have it from one of the Workout Wednesdays co-leader. Formatting is a bonus. So if you get really stuck on the formatting, you can still say Lorna says, as long as it's mostly there, it counts.
Yeah, exactly.
Lorna, did you get the kind of gray line in the middle of the? So if you look at his solution, there's like a line at 25%.
Not yet, but
look over it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
So you see that line? You've got the gray line,
yeah.
and then okay.
Isn't
it's
that
not a reference line?
Is it not the axis rulers that you told me about?
I don't think so, because the axis rulers would be in the middle. Those are the axis rulers. Those are on the axis itself.
The tick marks, sorry, not the rulers.
Oh, okay, maybe it is. Okay, thank you. Oh, sorry, wrong option here.
Maybe it is. I am not.
Yeah, but see, that's not. It doesn't go across the view that way.
Interesting. So they're supposed to be able to go.
Yeah, there's supposed to be a line like right down the middle at 25%. But it's not axis rulers.
I thought it was axis ticks. Oh, wait, no, it's grid lines.
Yeah, but grid lines go behind the mark, not in front of it.
Oh, okay.
That's right. I'll keep playing around with it and see if I can get it working.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, it's not axis rulers. How can we put that in front? So is it?
Okay, you two. So we're coming up to an hour and a half. You've both been doing this. Does it feel that long?
No.
No. Okay. Well,
has it been that long?
Yes, it has been. So
wow.
there you go. If you want to make time fly, then do a Workout Wednesday. How far would you both say you are to completing now? Sort of 80–90% there, or more or less?
Yeah, I'd say 90% there. It's just a formatting and getting that big ass number at the top right, and the white mark across the bar chart over there. You think you're done?
Okay, Kriebel, would you be able to share your screen?
Yeah. So I got this line on here, but I did it. Oh no, it did work. Okay, good. I added it as a reference line, but I was afraid that it would show when I hovered over it, that it would show, but it doesn't look like it is. So that's, oh, there you go. So it does kind of, but not really. So I did it as like, how do I even get it to, oh, you have to go right between the cells in order to see it. So let me see if that's how Curtis did it. So if I go right in between the cells, see, I think he put the cells really close together, so you can't click on it. So if I go to my stacked bar and I go to this one and I turn my label to none, set size to as big as it'll go. Right, and now if I think what I want to do now is format borders, and in my columns, I want to have a cell border. Nope, that didn't work.
So did you say it was a reference line then?
Yeah, I think it is. It worked with a reference line. So the problem is when you put something really close together, Tableau doesn't actually, so you see how this fourth row here is like this fat white line that's like stupidly annoying. It shouldn't do that. So I just don't like how Tableau does that. Okay, maybe that's good enough. All right, I think I'm done.
And so you've still got that big ass number to do, Kriebel.
Ah, right, sorry about that. Thank you. So this is telling, what is this number telling me? Displays overall N-week retention for all cohorts combined. Overall N-week retention for all weeks combined. Overall for N weeks combined. But is that, okay. So I need to get the total number of customers. So new customers is 25,537. So the table calc, 25,537. Okay, that's good. And then my percent turning, let me put that here as well. Oops. So I'm going to right, so now something's wrong with, and there's no tooltip, I don't think. Okay, so I don't need to worry about the tooltip. That's fine. So new customers percent returning. So I think I need to duplicate that.
Okay, I think I am almost done.
Okay, Lorna, have you managed to get that big ass number up there?
Yes, yes, I have.
Ah, great. Would you be able to share your screen and explain to us how you did that?
Let me boot Kriebel off.
Why am I getting?
So my number is very, very big. I'm just going to reduce it down a little bit. All I did was I duplicated this worksheet, removed the cohort from the view, and it worked. So this was actually a very one of those just try it and see what happens type thing. So I think I am done.
What tips do you have to do along the way?
What tips?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I had to do tips along the way.
That was to distract you, like you said you was going to distract me.
So Lorna, so what do you have? Okay, I think I see.
So this is all I have in my view.
Yeah.
It's hidden just to week 26.
So we should get, say
14.
again?
It's hidden to just week 26.
On which one? Oh, you put cohort, right? Mm-hmm. What do you get for your value? 14.2%. Can you go back to your big number sheet?
Yeah, of course.
So you have cohort week, and then that's just what's the thing next to that?
So that is where it's cohort week equals the week parameter.
Okay, so.
And it's just a true, false, and then you hide the falses.
Yeah, a second. So that's cohort week. I have that somewhere here. Weeks filter. Oh, I have it as last week. Right, and then you put, so I need to show all the hidden data. So did you remove on your, what do you have on your detail shelf for that one?
I don't have anything on my detail shelf apart from the retention. I just untick show header in both
Okay.
of them.
Kriebel, would you be able to share your screen and so we can see you doing this final bit as Lorna repays the tips you gave her?
I was just finishing off with the header that Curtis put in, so there's a line in between the title and the charts. So I just finished off that one.
So you did, so you hid all the falses, is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
And then you're left. So I'm getting 21.2%.
I didn't have any filters on my.
Do you have week 26 in yours? Oh, so it's the overall.
Yeah.
Right. So it has nothing to do with the cohorts then. So it doesn't have to meet the same condition as the other.
No, I didn't put it in. I just put the customer retention in. So just take off the filters and then it should hopefully.
Right. Okay. So that's a misleading requirement there then, because it seems like it should have the filter apply as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's really unlike Curtis to give vague requirements.
Don't be mean, Kriebel.
How big did you make it? Like 24?
I just kept the text the same height and just moved the size to 3/4 of the way up the bar.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm done.
All right.
So I pipped Kriebel by a couple of seconds.
Not really.
In the end. Definitely. What do you think, Sophie?
Well, Kriebel did give out a tip on filtering to top 10 with a window calc in the middle. So I think he probably clawed back a few extra minutes there. So I would call it a tie. I would be and I think it was very gallant of both of you to give each other a helping hand. So even though this was a head-to-head battle, it's turned out to be a bit more of a friendly contest, which I think is more in the spirit of these sort of things.
Definitely.
So, Lorna, did you put the big borders around the whole thing? You know how Curtis likes to do the borders?
Yep, I think I did like 10 padding around the
and then Lorna, you've got a few cheers from the people still left on the live stream.
Yay!
Thanks, people
guys.
dialing in from Indonesia, so
nice.
Quite late at night for them.
Wow. Yeah, I'm just publishing it to Tableau Public now, so that it is there.
Brilliant. When you have published, I will put the link to the actual Viz in the live stream as well. And everyone who maybe couldn't stay to the end of the stream or is dialed in a little bit late, this will be up live on our Information Lab YouTube channel. I'll drop that into the link into the chat as well. So please do watch through it if you want to get some of the extra tips. As you guys both publish up, any sort of final tips about Workout Wednesday, or maybe favorite challenges if some people haven't done a Workout Wednesday before, maybe where to start, and what you find is really helpful about Workout Wednesday?
Yeah, so hopefully next year we'll have a few more contributors from the community. That's just closed at the minute, so we'll have a few new faces on the team. It's me, Anne, and Luke definitely staying on for next year. So there's a new Viz on the challenge insights on the website where we have pulled together all of the scores to enable you to pick which ones that you want to go to based on ease of use or certain techniques. And if you have a preferred author, then they're there so you can filter them down. Also do what Andy's just done and track and review your progress. So you can track how many Workout Wednesdays you've done by submitting to the track.
Did you submit yours to the tracker, Lorna?
No, I've not submitted this year.
That means I won because I did all the steps.
Oh, wow.
So
Doesn't work like that.
Just quickly explain what the tracker is?
Go ahead, Lorna.
Yep. So I'll take the screen off, Andy, and show you. So on the Workout Wednesday website, which is here. No, not this one, this one. You have track and review at the top here. You can track your own progress, so you can put your name in, which year you filled out, which week, and on a scale of 1 to 10, how hard was the week, your Twitter handle, and then your link to your Tableau Public page. And then on the participant overview, you have the percentage of number of workouts that you've done over the year. So you can see that Marco Di Gola is pretty much there and 50% the way through December's. Kathy, David, Brian, Caitlin are all kind of all the way up there and getting submission for the trackers. But then the other thing that I mentioned before was the challenge insights. So this is a relatively new viz and it's still being progressed at the minute. But you can click to view a specific challenger, and you can see the highest scoring difficulty of vizzes. And if you scroll down, you can go to the bottom and start with these easier ones if you wanted to break yourself into Workout Wednesday.
Brilliant. I think this Viz is a great way to get people into Workout Wednesday and start on maybe some of the easier ones. So thank you guys both so much for giving giving us an hour, 40 minutes of your time. Everyone who's dialed in has said thank you very much, and they really enjoyed watching the Viz being made, whether it be a head-to-head challenge or not. And so Lorna, as you said, maybe more Workout Wednesday videos going up, I think would be really well appreciated by the community. So
yeah, definitely. We are trying to do solution videos as well. So if you do get stuck, then at the bottom of the blog post, there should be a video to help you walk you through the actual viz itself. And also we have people from the community. So Donna Coles and Rosario, they do blog posts to explain their process and how they've gone through the actual workout.
Great. I will attempt to put those links into YouTube as well, but if I don't find them before we sign off. So that was Donna Cole and
Rosario.
Okay. So thank you guys both so much, and everyone who's dialed in and stayed on for this whole thing. Thank you so much for sticking around. I hope you really enjoyed this. If you do like these live streams, we have another one coming up on Sunday, 3 p.m. GMT, so Greenwich Mean Time here in London. We've got Iron Viz winner, Hashem, going through rebuilding his winning Iron Viz, but in more time than 20 minutes. So he's going to be going through much more slowly and talking his way through it. So if you are able to dial in and want to watch some live vizzing on your Sunday, please do. It's 3 p.m. Local time in London. So wherever that is around the world. And of course, that video will be up on YouTube next Monday. If you have other things you need to do on a Sunday, then watch somebody build a viz live. So please do tune in for that. And Lorna and Andy, thank you both so much again for giving up your time. And I hope everyone really enjoyed this.
Thanks,
so
Sophie. Hi, Lorna. Good job.
You're welcome.
You're welcome for the tips along the way.
It's a tie, Andy. It's a tie.
It's a tie.
My tweet's out and everything. So and I submitted, so I think I won.
No way.
All right. Bye. Thanks, Sophie.
Thanks so much, guys. Bye.
Bye.